Okay, so I'm going to do this break-even problem for you. So it says I start out with $65 in the bank and I save $70 per week. And my sister starts out with $940 but only saves $45 per week. And I want to know how many weeks it will be until we have the same amount. So she's starting out with more than me, but I'm putting in more every week, so eventually I can catch up with her, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let X equal the number of weeks, okay? And I've already talked about this in class before. The word per helps you get a clue as to what X is. So in this problem, per means that X is going to be weeks, because it's next to the word weeks, and so X will be a time in weeks, okay? It's the number of weeks the money's in the bank. And then Y is going to be the thing that I'm interested in that's growing, so ultimately my totals are going to grow, so Y will be the total amount of money in the bank, okay? And what I've said before is our goal is to make equations that look like this. Y equals mx plus b, where b is a fixed starting amount and mx is the changing amount. So I've got a fixed amount. Whoops. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. That's kind of going crazy there. Stop that. So I've got a fixed amount right here with the b, and then I've got an amount that changes involving the mx. Okay, so the changing amount. So in my first equation, I've got y equals what? Well, I start out with 65, so that's going to go over here. And I save 70 per week, so that's going to be 70x, okay? And I have to add those up, and that's going to give me my total amount of money in the bank. So take the amount per week times the number of weeks, add in the fixed starting amount, and that gives you your total. Now, I'm going to do the same thing for my sister's bank account. So I have y equals what? Well, for her problem here, she starts out with 940. So her fixed amount is 940. And her changing amount is 45 per week. So 45x. And I have to add those together. And the way I can figure out how many weeks it takes to have the same amount is to take these two quantities here and set them equal. So on one side I have 70x plus 65. And on the other side I have 45x plus 940. Okay? And then now, after I have written the equation, so that was my first thing that I needed to do. Now I have to start to solve this when I have variables on both sides. So I'm going to make the x's go on one side, and I'll make the plain old numbers go on the other. So I'm going to move this 45 over here, and I do that, I can move it across the equal sign by doing the opposite. So because it's a positive 45, I have to subtract 45. And I have to do that from both sides, once on each side. Cancel. And then on the other side, I have 25x plus 65 equals 940. Okay? And then now what I have to do, I have to get rid of this 65. So because it's so this number has to go with the other number. The x went with the other x. The number goes to the other side with the other number. And again, you do it by doing the opposite and doing it to both sides. So in this problem, it's going to be minus 65, cancel, and I get 25x equals 940 minus 65. Let's see, that's going to be 880, and then 875, I believe. And then divide by 25. And let's see, I believe that's going to give me what? 25 goes into 100 4 times. So it goes into 800. What is that? I'm spaced now. 32 times. I probably did that wrong. And then plus another 3 from the 75. So altogether, x equals 35. By the way, and that's 35 weeks. When I said all those words at once, when I was doing the division here, how would you do that division? You're probably just going to use a calculator, okay? I was trying to do it in my head. But just use a calculator for this, okay? So it's going to take 35 weeks for me to catch up, even though I'm putting in more money. She started out way ahead of me. And how much money will we have at that break-even point? Well, you can take either equation. It doesn't matter because they're both equal at the break-even point of 35. So just pick one of these two, plug in a 35. So if I pick the first one, multiply by 35, I will get the total money that I have in the bank. And, I could do the same thing with the second one. They should give you the same amount. And I actually don't have my calculator handy, so I'm going to let you figure out what these would be. They should be the same, like I said, if you did everything correctly. And this will be the amount of money that each of you has in the bank, at the break-even point. So let me kind of summarize the steps for you again. So the first thing you did was you wrote your two equations out. You had a fixed amount and a changing amount, and both of you had that. Then you take the right-hand side of each equation and you set them equal. So that's step 2. So step 1, write the equation. Step 2, set the right-hand sides equal to each other. Step 3 will be to combine like terms. So to do that, I move the x's to one side. So here I subtracted the smaller number on both sides. And then I took the 65 and moved that over to the other side, again, by subtracting. So I ended up with 25x plus, this went away. So I subtracted the 65. So now I have 25x equals 875. And then the opposite of multiply by 25 is to divide by 25, and I got 33. And then, if you want to, you can plug that back in to get the amount of money in the bank. So one more time, just let me go through it with you. So step 1, get the equations. Step 2, set them equal to each other. Step 3, combine like terms. And then step 4, I just solved for x. Okay? So that's basically all there is to it. Now, I went through this problem kind of quickly, so as you watch this, if I go too fast, I would suggest that you pause it at that part, and then if you need to re-watch part of it, you can also rewind. That's kind of the nice thing about having videos. Like I said, I know I went through this kind of fast, but I did want to at least give you some kind of follow-up because I promised you I would put this up here. So hopefully you found this helpful.